Hi all, Kevin from the Eco Man here. Today, I'm going to show you how to take care of mice in a rural country-owned property. You can imagine by looking that rodents would be a big issue in an environment such as this. And guess what? It is. They're having a heavy infestation of rats and mice moving around on their property. So we're going to go over areas that they may enter on the structure of the home, and also things you can do on your outside in a prevention measure that's going to give you less activity inside the home. We're also going to leave off with showing you how to place a box down so that way you'll be able to monitor and control rodents and rats on your property. We're going to start with our inspections. Let's go ahead and get started. Well, I'm performing my preliminary inspection on the home, and I'm looking for obvious entry points that would lead to the inside of the home for those rodents. So what we see here, we have this door that has no door sweep on it. Now, this is why I'm holding this. It's a common screwdriver, but what that screwdriver does, it gives you a perception of the mouse entering in the gap. Their bodies are typically going to be right about that size. So this is a really great tool to use to slide through the door. That way, if it hits this point here, then that mouse can pretty much get to that gap. I'm going to slide it under there and we'll see. Look how far that went in. Mouse can pretty much walk right in. This is why this is important, because you always want to look at door sweeps first. It's a great deterrent for them to be able to get in. Corners of homes, especially older corners, because as you can see, I can get my finger up in here. And if I can stick my finger up in here, then that typically means that a mouse can get in here. You want to take some expandable foam is a good option and actually stuff it up here. Put your tubing up in here and fill this in. Just takes a little squirt or two. Well, looks like we've just discovered a tree as you look up here on top of this gutter. When these trees or any brush touch the home, mice can use this as a highway system onto the roof line, making their way to get into the attic space. So it's always good to trim back shrubbery, any trees that sit on the roof or touch the gutter system. Make that a priority. Wood piles. This is virtually a birthing ground for rodents because they can develop so many broods of babies within these areas untouched. But what you want to consider is stacking and storing it up off the ground. Most often, get you a good firewood stand. I always recommend about at least a foot off the ground, and that'll be free of most of the pests. We have this automatic vent here. This vent should be flush to this foundation wall. What it tells us is that rodents could easily get in here. So you'll have to push this up and kind of tighten these screws up a little bit. You can see your gaps here. It's running all the way from the top here down to the bottom. Now, as you can see, that screwdriver went in pretty good. We're going to take a look and open the door up and look at the entire structure of the door. I am not surprised because the gaps on the side typically represent no threshold plate on the bottom. What I recommend is a threshold plate should be there, which gives a good round square seal to the door. So now that we've completed our inspection, we're about to move on to our rodent box placement. When I think about where I want to place a box, I'm thinking about it from a perspective of where mice like to move covered and secure. And most often, this is the area, and then it leads right into here. So this is the method to my madness. So what we're going to do is we're going to clean out this a little bit. So now that we've got our spot placed, let's go get our rodent box and set it down. Now, most people see these out around their home in the crawl space. I'm sure you're always curious what's in it. Is it a trap? Does it hold bait? What? But what we're going to show you today is an eco-friendly way to bait these boxes. So what we're going to be putting in the box today is our brand of Radex disc baits. So when you see the word Radex, you probably automatically think poison. This is a cornmeal based product. It's about as eco-friendly as you're going to get. As they begin to feed, it starts to harden like a cement in their intestinal walls, shutting down their digestive system. That's what we're going to be putting in the box. So let's get started. What I like to do is always wear gloves, and here's why. Mice They have the keen nose, so they're gonna smell your stink on there. And that might deter them from actually coming to the station that you proactively put out. Typically, these baits are put on by rods that come with the box. But what I like to do is I like to give a little bit of extra punch. I like to put a little peanut butter on there. This would be the best option because it doesn't dry out as fast like cheese and other things like that. I like to create a little cookie, as I like to call it. And who doesn't like a good peanut butter cookie? All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take one of these rods, slide that cookie right on there. Now, what you wanna do is wipe any excess peanut butter off of the rod. So what you wanna do is draw the focus to the bait, not the rod. I would eat the peanut butter on the rod first before I go to the bait. So don't give them any other options if you can. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna snap this in, and it just snaps right in. And there you go. Now, let me show you how to place it. You only wanna place one. Here's why. You want it to be their golden corral, their buffet, their all they can eat. Let it stay here because they have to get used to it being in the area. They've ran past here a million times. They never saw this golden corral we just built. So we want them to come into this environment and get comfy and used to this box. Most often, you're gonna find droppings in here. You won't find anything dead. Now, on your weekly inspections, you may not find bait. That's a great thing. Or if you find nibbling, that's a good thing because it's just giving you signs that control is taking place. Put new bait in it, you can do it right here, same way I showed you earlier. You're probably wondering, how long should you leave the box here to determine if it's being effective? Well, the signs will let you know if it's being effective and they're eating. All right, but if you see no eating, you may want to consider moving the location. And that's why you do an initial preliminary inspection to find not just one location, but potentially multiple locations to place the same box. All right, so that's how you control rodent problems on your property. If you like what you just saw today, like and subscribe. Do you need the EcoMan's help? Book today by clicking the link in the description.